This video can shorten your OCD recovery by 10 years, and I'm not joking here. So listen up and buckle down because this is going to be video for the ages. This video is about two types of compulsions. The first one is what I call avoidant or escaping compulsions, and the second type is what I call anti-drowning compulsion. Most people are somehow successful on the OCD journey not doing what I call avoidant compulsions. So at first they do all types of crazy compulsions, but then once they know what OCD is, they stop avoiding certain things. Oh, I'm afraid of this word, so I will stop avoiding it. Like my client now who's literally afraid of a city because he's afraid that city is going to contaminate him with its negative energy. Now this client is just, he has to say it out loud, the name of the city. He has to look at pictures of the city when he sees them, or when someone is from that city, he has to engage in conversation with them. If you are afraid of a word, of, bacteria, whatever it may be, you will try to avoid that. And if you progress on your OCD journey, you will just be like, hey, wait a second. I have to stop avoiding these things, and you will stop doing that. And this is where most people end up with their OCD journeys, unfortunately. So most people get to the stage where they stop avoiding words, bacteria, whatever it is that you're afraid of, and they are like, oh, there's this trigger, there's this X that I'm afraid of. I gotta willingly stop running away from this X and sort of expose myself to it, and that's how I treat OCD. Unfortunately, though, that's not the full picture. And what most people do wrong is that they never truly fix their anti-drowning compulsions. And let me explain those briefly. So, anti-drowning compulsion is different from escaping compulsion. In escaping or avoidant compulsion, you really are trying to avoid different potential triggers, but most people overcome those as those are not as heavy for majority of people, and they just start being like, okay, let's face this. Let's not escape from this. However, though, when it comes to anti-drowning compulsions, these are way bigger. When escaping compulsions are like a small chicken nugget, anti-drowning compulsions are literally like a huge Argentinian steak. Or if you're a vegetarian for that matter, the first one is like a little tofu block, and the other one is like a huge marinated super tofu block, if there even is a thing like that. Anyway, most people fix those avoidant ones, but they still keep doing the anti-drowning ones. And the anti-drowning compulsion is basically that you feel like you're drowning, like there's nothing to avoid anymore, you're fully in. You're fully in. Maybe it's with pedophilia OCD. You feel like, oh, I've surely already done something in the past. It's like real event pedophilia OCD. And now I gotta just tell it to people. I just gotta tell someone. I gotta confess. And these compulsions are usually way harder not to do. And oftentimes, you may not do some avoidant compulsion, and that's then gonna lead you to feel anxiety. And then you will need not to do the anti-drowning compulsion as well. And it is the anti-drowning compulsions and doing them or not doing them what's gonna make or break your recovery. So if you're able not to do the avoidant compulsions, yeah, I'm afraid of this word, but I'm still gonna say it out loud. I'm saying it. I'm afraid of talking to that person. I'm gonna talk to them. I'm afraid of looking at this picture. I'm gonna look at it. I'm afraid of touching this. I'm gonna touch it. But then when something really hits you and you feel like you're drowning underwater, like you're already full of anxiety, there's nothing to avoid now. There's nothing to be like, oh, let's not touch this, let's not think this word. You don't care about these things in that instance. What you care about in that moment is, let me get rid of this. So it's the opposite momentum. Before, you try to avoid, now you're trying to get rid of something. And as you're trying to get rid of something, well, what will happen is that you will literally run into, okay, I gotta confess this, or maybe it's contamination related, so I gotta clean this, or I gotta do something just to take this out of my life. Like with many of my clients who had like contamination in terms of materials, like building materials. And they found it out in their flat, like, oh my God, this may be made of asbestos, this like little pipe that I can see from the window that's on my toilet. There's like a little asbestos pipe. It may be asbestos, but it may not be. And damn, I gotta be sure. I gotta check it. Like, I gotta invite a company to check it. 100%, they gonna come. Those are the make or break recovery compulsions that you gotta cut. And unless you cut those, you will never fully get to a strong recovery where you will feel recovered on, like, let's say 7 to 10 out of 10. You're never gonna get there because so many people can stop doing these small compulsions that I call avoidant or escaping compulsions. But when it comes to the real cheese, when it comes to the real big moments that totally impact your entire life because you feel like you're drowning in anxiety, so many people just give in. So many people just start believing this story that, oh, but this may affect my children's health, or, oh, this, I cannot live in this flat before I fix this, or, oh, like my other client, she bought a dog. She wanted a puppy. They already had a dog, but she wanted a puppy to have two dogs, like as a friend, and she thought of this as an excellent idea. She persuaded her boyfriend to do it, but they also tried to have a baby, and then OCD told her, wait a minute, now you got this puppy, and you'll be so stressed out and just taking care of him all the time that the pregnancy will fall. It will not work. So you got to get rid of this puppy now. And guess what? She got rid of the puppy, and then I told her, hey, this is the the big kind of compulsion that I talked about before. This is the anti-drowning compulsions. Until you cut these, and unless you cut these, there's no recovery for you. Not really. You're gonna feel better because you're not doing avoidant compulsions anymore. She cut those all out anymore, but these are the small ones. This is level 1. If you want to get to the last level, you gotta cut the anti-drowning compulsions, where you feel like you're drowning in anxiety, and whatever is the most important thing for you at that moment in your life is gonna be affected by that. That's what OCD always convinces you with in the anti-drowning compulsions and why to do them. So really, just think of it in this way, and this is similar to ERP, where they say, expose yourself, face it, but then don't do any compulsion. Don't try to relieve that anxiety that you're now in. But I think this model of thinking of it like 2 compulsions is even better, at least for me, because it somehow made more sense to me. And I told myself, hey, Paul, if you really want to recover, like fully, strongly, not just kind of recover, but really recover, yeah, we're not doing any compulsions. But then still, when you make some big mistake or anything like that, and you're drowning in it, and you feel like, oh my God, now this most important thing in my life is affected, whatever it is currently, oh my God, now I gotta escape it. Now I gotta do something. Like, for example, I contaminated accidentally, like a handle on a dishwasher, and then OCD told me, well, because my wife is a bit sick now and with hyperthyroidism, and OCD told me, oh, now, because I put like it's a longer story, but basically it told me like, you gotta clean this thoroughly, otherwise her health is gonna be impacted. And it's really those moments when it's like, this is what's gonna make or break your recovery. And it's so hard because so often OCD is gonna take as a hostage your wife or spouse or kids or job or sleep, whatever it is. But unless you cut these anti-drowning compulsions, unless you fully allow yourself to drown and still not do anything about it, no lowering of the anxiety, no lowering of that scenario, not trying to change anything, there's not gonna be a lasting OCD recovery. And this is what I found out both for myself and for my clients. And I think it's just super important to think of these things and to, just keep it on your mind that you really got to cut all compulsions. But even when I say this to my clients, they always cut all the avoidant compulsions and also rumination and all these things, but they never cut these anti-drowning compulsions. And unless they do, they never end up working with me, which is a good sign. Like, if you end up working with me, that means, hey, either it wasn't fruitful, but mostly it's we still haven't reached our goal. So, I when they end up working with me, and it's only usually because of one reason, which is, hey, I now feel so much better. I don't even need you, Paul. And that's a perfect day for me. So anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please click on the like button. Leave me a comment down below of what you think of this. I generally try to reply to all the comments because I'm a small channel. But sometimes, as the channel keeps growing, I miss some of those. So I'm sorry if I do. But I'll be glad for any comment, like, or subscribe because it supports my work. And have a good one, guys. And let me know down in the comments below if you cut your anti-drowning compulsions. It's not just to boost algorithm. I'm sincerely interested because I think so many people who think there's no more way to push their recovery just settled for still doing anti-drowning compulsions. And although they may think, oh, I'm not doing compulsions anymore, and I heard this a million times, whenever I work with these people and they are in a really bad episode, which is that's the next level. That's what you got to be able not to do compulsions in as well. This really bad episode, and they're drowning in it. They almost always still do compulsions. And until they stop, and I've proved this with my clients and tested this, and on myself too, there's no lasting recovery in OCD, no matter what OCD takes as a hostage, no matter what it's telling you, because it's always so persuasive. You know this. Anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments below if you can not do any avoidant compulsions, which is a huge feat in of itself. That's a huge achievement, extreme achievement. But also let me know if you cannot do anti-drowning compulsions, even when stuff hits the fan and it's just like really, really like big stakes. Your life feels at stake. Whatever is most important to you feels at stake. It's like the big game now. It's not just small avoiding compulsions, cutting those during the day. It's the big league now of big boys and girls. And let me know. I'm really interested. And hopefully this made sense. See you guys later. Have a good one. And peace.